A very good evening, ma'am. I welcome you to my podcast. I welcome you to my channel, Learning with Chandan. And I'm really thankful that you gave me time for this podcast.
No problem. Pleasure is all mine.
Okay, so let's just jump to the questions. I have so many things to ask you. So I got introduced to you through your group that you have named as the PhDs of India. So I wanted to know it from you. Who is Payel Das? And
Mhm.
what is PhDs of India? What is it about?
Okay, so Payel Das and PhDs of India are two very different identities. Okay, you can put them together in some context, but they are very different things in like not things. At least I'm not a thing, but yeah. So I am just a regular person who with very high hopes and ambitions. And I look myself in that manner, that somebody who has a lot of high hopes and aspirations and want to do a lot of things in life. So yeah, so I did my bachelor's in human physiology from Presidency University, Kolkata, and then went on to do my master's in biotechnology from IIT Bombay. After that, I moved to Singapore for 5 months on a short-term project at National University of Singapore. I was a developmental biologist at that point of time. And I tried to stick to developmental biology since then because that was something I really enjoyed, I really liked. And because I had seen how things work in developmental biology in that area of biology. So I thought that maybe I would be a good fit here. So after Singapore, I then came back to India and joined as a project assistant for a year in NCBS Bangalore in a core developmental biology lab. It was the questions they were trying to ask were really, really, really good. Like I found them quite interesting, and I had never heard about certain things that they were trying to address, the questions that they were trying to address. So it was a very eye-opening experience for me to join that lab. And after a year, then I eventually applied for a PhD position. I would have, it was not like I wanted to go abroad and do my PhD abroad. It was just that I was open to both India and abroad. And eventually Germany offer came by. So yeah. So actually, my PhD offer is very interesting. It has a very interesting story because my current supervisor was the one who actually contacted me and not the other way around.
Oh,
So
okay.
he contacted me asking that I saw your CV from a friend of mine. So I had written to one of his very old friends who at that point of time was taking only senior scientists in his lab and was no more taking PhD students. He would be retired. He was about to retire, I think, in 2 years or so. So he only took senior scientists in his lab. And when I wrote to him asking that whether he has a PhD position or not, so he told me that I only take senior scientists, but I can forward your CV to one of my friends who probably is looking for a PhD candidate. And I did not see this mail actually. I did not see this email
Okay.
that he wrote back. And the first email that I saw was from the friend who actually wrote to me asking that I saw your CV and I think you would be a perfect fit for this lab, for our lab. So would you be interested to interview with us?
Okay.
So for the position, and I was like, oh my god, what is happening? So
Wow.
it was like fan, like I was really okay, this is something great. And then I interviewed with him, and it was one of the best interviews I ever gave in my life actually. So I say this, yeah, it was quite good. And obviously then he liked me, the lab liked me. I talked to the lab members as well, people who would be working with me. So it was all good. And then within a week I got the offer letter, and yeah, and that's how I came to Germany for a PhD. And it's been 3 years, not 3 years, it will be 3 years in July, but yeah, it's been 3 years since I'm here. And yeah, it's been quite a nice journey. Like I'm growing myself as a person, as an individual. So I've had a lot of personal growth over these years because I stay alone in a different country which does not even speak my language, and I don't understand German. So right now I understand little bit after 3 years, but yeah, it's still not like when you speak Bengali or Hindi or English. So yeah, that way. So this is like my educational background, and apart from that, I'm into singing. Yeah,
Wow, that's
so
great.
like trained in singing for 8 years. So I've trained in, and also I have been into dance
Hmm.
throughout my school life, which was a really, really, really good time for me. I used to participate in all the events, even in college. So I was a part of the choir group where I used to be the part of the dance team of the choir group. So it was quite a nice experience. Even in IIT, I participated in all the dance events that were there. So yeah, that, and apart from that, I used to scribble poetry from a very young age.
Okay.
I love literature. So at some point of time, I did feel that I should go for a literature instead of science.
Hmm.
But science took over because probably because of the societal pressure. It was not like my parents told me, no, no, you have to study science. But okay, there was this societal barrier that you come from a medical background, you should go to science. So that
Hmm.
was there. It was not said, it was an unwritten rule that you have
Hmm.
to follow this. And I was a very obedient kid, so I was like, I won't rebel, I won't do any of that, and I will just follow whatever, wherever life takes me in the field of science. So
Hmm.
that's how I ended up in science. But I think I would have loved literature too. And so I wrote a lot when I was in school, even when I was in college. But then the pressure of academics piled up over the time, and it was not possible to keep up. So
Hmm.
I did not have any more time to like sit and write poetry. So eventually what I did was yeah, start the initiative of PhDs of India
Hmm.
with my best friend Shravasti Mishra. So we started the initiative together.
Hmm.
Both of us used to write a lot during our
Okay.
college days. So I know her from bachelor's, and
Hmm.
then she came with me to IIT Bombay as well. So we were
Okay.
together for 5 years. So we wrote a lot, and there were a couple of clubs at IIT Bombay, writing clubs that we were a part of. We joined them together. We even became the editors of our departmental magazine.
Hmm.
So so writing was something that we both knew, and we both write on Quora, which is
Hmm.
again blogging, a question
Hmm.
Q&A platform. So it was there, and there was this particular day when we were talking during the pandemic about our lives, the
Hmm.
PhD situation and everything. And just by talking, it was like, so Shravasti was trying to do some content writing, more content writing, and I was giving her
Hmm.
more ideas. So we were, so it just came up that, okay, so we have Humans of Bombay and Humans of New York, where, you know, they feature people,
Hmm.
ordinary
Yeah.
people. And
Hmm.
it's so touching, and it's so nice to, you know, you will never go and talk to these people on the road. And
Hmm.
right now you're seeing, oh my God, this is such a nice experience. So I was just telling her that maybe you can start writing about people of Kolkata. So maybe, so you
Okay.
just start with your the cook who comes to your place. She's an amazing cook. Actually, they have an amazing cook because I have eaten the food and I know that. So you can just start with her, just ask her how her life has been, because this is something we never ask
Hmm.
our
Hmm.
maids, our cooks, and
Yeah.
the people who come to work for us. So, like we don't sit with them and talk with them. And I think it's a very good thing to do so, that you just sit with them and sometimes ask them how
Hmm.
they are and what they are doing in their life and how are they
Hmm.
doing and all of that. And on that note, and she was like, yeah, but Humans of Bombay also cover people of Kolkata sometimes, and like they cover the
Okay.
all regions of India as well. And we were talking about PhD, and we there were so many topics going on, and eventually I said that maybe, you know, nobody talks about PhD students. I think we should talk about,
Hmm.
because everybody talks about their work. It's
Hmm.
always about the work they do, the publications they
Hmm.
have. It is always about the technical part. of
Hmm.
their. Nobody actually goes and asks them how you are on a particular day, because
Hmm.
okay, whatever they achieved, it took several years.
Yep.
It took a lot of hard work, and they had to shed a lot of tears as well, most of them. So you have to shed a lot of tears. You have to be like, there are days when you go through a lot of down moments, like when
Hmm.
you are not feeling that you are good enough to do this work, you're not fit to be in this field. And I think nobody talks about that, which is
Hmm.
really, really, really bad. And like, nobody comes and asks a PhD student how they are. They always
Hmm.
ask, when are you finishing your PhD, when are you
Yep.
publishing?
Yep.
These are the
This is.
questions that come, and nobody asks that if they're happy doing what they're doing.
Hmm.
So it was something that we wanted to humanize this process. It was like everybody talks about their work, which is fine, and they get recognition, which is great. So, but let's just talk to the PhD students and ask how their journey has been, how their
Hmm.
day-to-day life is. It is more about humanizing that journey, because most of them feel that they are alone in this journey when they're struggling. They feel
Hmm.
that they are the only people who might be stupid, but it's not like that. There are
Hmm.
many, many, many like them who go through the same feeling of depression, same feeling of being not good enough. That's how they feel most of the days.
Hmm.
And so we started with our friends. Like we asked some of our friends if they would like to interview, and
Hmm.
they would like to share their moments of joy, their moments of success, or their
Hmm.
moments of failure, and when they were really, really down and they were
Hmm.
depressed in their journey. And
Hmm.
so when we published our first story, it itself got more than 100 likes.
Wow, that's great.
And we knew that, okay, this probably would connect, and this is something
Hmm.
that could work in future. So we continued doing that, and then slowly, like, people themselves started coming up and saying, hey, I would like to get featured on your page, what should I do? And it felt really nice. It felt really nice that people are actually connecting to it. Many of them wrote to us that
Hmm.
it's such a nice initiative. We never knew that this could happen. We never
Hmm.
knew there was somebody out there who is going through the same thing as me. And
Hmm.
it was
Hmm.
it was a really nice feeling, and we thought that, okay, we are doing something good, and so let's continue. And so we have continued. We started in May 2020. It's not even 1 year, but the
Okay.
response we have got is like quite overwhelming. And
Hmm.
thank you to all of the people who supported this and who thought that this is something that one needs.
Hmm.
And yeah, so that's how PhDs of India came about, actually. And
That's great.
that's where my life revolves now,
Hmm.
like with my PhD and with PhDs of India. And I'm quite happy about the way things have turned out to be. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I have not heard about that humans of Bombay, and I might have heard just the name, but I had never read about them. So one of the things that just came into my mind while you were talking about how this idea came through and how you started to talk about the lives of the people. So the thing that I want to know is that how you choose who is going to be featured in your blog. Is there any
Okay.
criteria or anyone who comes across and wants to share, you just write about them?
No, the only criterion is we only feature PhD students, and there might be currently PhD students or passed out, like graduated,
Hmm.
but their PhD has to be from an Indian institute. So
Okay.
that's the only criterion. We do not select people as such. We do not see, oh my God, this person is very fancy and he has
Hmm. Hmm.
very fancy lab, so we should publish him. No, it's not like that. It's just their PhD has to be from an Indian institute. We do
Okay.
not feature people who are like to pursuing their PhD. Not yet, like
Hmm.
not yet. We haven't
Hmm.
diversified yet. At some point, probably we will diversify and move on to other countries. But right
Hmm.
now, we really want to focus on India. Yeah. So
That's great.
they just have to be PhD students from India. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So, as you have said that when the initially you thought you got this basic idea from that humans of on their work on all those blogs, and right now you are in Germany, but you write about those PhDs who are from India. So, is it kind of this makes something the work to be difficult, or it gets easier to connect with those who are in India by staying there in Germany? So is the cross country thing making any effect on your work, or is it the same as it used to be?
No, after coming to Germany or after having been in Singapore, I know there are certain things which are very different in
Hmm.
foreign countries as compared to India. That's
Hmm.
probably the technical part, the resource part, that
Hmm.
we order something today and it will come in a week or maybe
Hmm.
tomorrow, which is
Hmm.
not there in India at all. And
Hmm.
in most Indian labs cannot afford technicians. And
Hmm.
here we have three technicians. Okay,
Okay.
so yeah, so a lot of clerical work has to be done in an Indian institute, that a student is also doing the purchase of
Hmm.
reagents,
Hmm.
is also looking after the instruments. And these are just certain things that are taken care of by other people
Hmm.
in a foreign country. So everything is, all of this clerical mundane job that is nowhere related to your science or your research work, even in the arts field.
Hmm.
So that is something very different in Germany or in Singapore as compared to India. And
Hmm.
because we both are Indians and we have seen how the Indian labs work, I think they need more focus, because Indians also face a lot of societal pressure. Here,
Hmm.
it's not there. It's like not many parents encourage their children to go for a PhD. It's
Hmm.
mostly about go for an engineering, go for medical, go for IAS.
Hmm.
Nobody, very few actually tell them, okay, you can go for a PhD. And that is something you have to fight a lot. And especially if you are a PhD in a social science subject or in a
Hmm.
humanities subject, it's more difficult, because from the very start they have been told you are inferior to the
Hmm.
science people. But I
Hmm.
think with PhDs of India, what we found out was that was another reason to start PhDs of India, that we would focus also on the non-STEM people. Like the STEM people get a lot of priority everywhere. It's like
Hmm.
always the STEM people, the STEM people. And it's like we should also talk about the arts people, I think. And
Hmm.
when we talked to these people, the people who are pursuing their PhD in arts, it was so good. Like their work is a direct social impact. Like their work has a direct social impact.
Hmm.
And our work would probably generate some value in like 10 years or 15 years maybe.
Hmm. Hmm.
But there it's like they're doing something that is occurring right now in real time. And how
Hmm.
could you not like focus on that? How could you not give importance to that? The government even doesn't fund them as much as they fund STEM students. So
Hmm.
we thought that it was really unfair, and that this was something we wanted to bring to light. And this happens mostly in India. Of
Hmm.
course, there are other kinds of problems in foreign countries and developed countries, but this was something really that struck a chord with us, that oh my god, these are the people we should feature, and these are the
Hmm.
people we need to feature, because they are doing something more translational than we, like at this
Hmm.
point of time.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that's why we wanted to focus on India, because also like female PhD students, they face a lot of discrimination.
Hmm.
Many so they have a pressure of getting married at a certain age, and once they are married, then the supervisors have this prejudice that married students are not serious enough, even for the
Hmm.
male married students, that they are not serious enough for their work and they won't be able to balance family and a PhD, which is
Hmm.
like so wrong. The
Hmm.
prejudices are there from before. And that is why we wanted to focus just on India first, that see, this is not the case. So you
Okay.
can do it all. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. As you just told that you used to write a lot. You used to write during your bachelor's. You used to write during your master's. Even while staying at IIT Bombay, you used to write. You were an editor and editorial head while your stay at IIT Bombay. So please just tell us about this.
So yeah, so I was the editorial head of a newsletter of a particular club at IIT Bombay, which was called Science and Technology Media Cell. So their goal was to write about the research work that was being conducted in different departments and different laboratories of IIT Bombay in very layman's term, which could be put up not only on the IIT Bombay website, but so that an engineer was able to read and understand what a biologist was doing and vice versa. So
Mm-hmm.
that everybody knew what was going on inside the campus. It was an internal newsletter. And in one of the meetings, it was decided that we should just come up with a small newsletter that we would hand it over in every hostel so that people can just read about it. If they're interested in some work, then they can go and ask and all of that. So I headed that editorial newsletter for a year. For it was like for 6 months or so. The editor, it's a departmental magazine. The department I was in for that, we like Shravasti and I became the editors together. It had two editors, and the previous editors, like our seniors, had already given us a note on what they see in a departmental magazine. It can be about the research work that was being conducted in the department, and we can cover events like the convocation events, and how our seniors are feeling once they are graduating, and about our alumni, like who are in a very good places, and how they went about their journey after graduating from IIT Bombay, about some faculties, and about book reviews, like science fiction book reviews and all of that. So we tried to cover that for our departmental magazine. It was a very nice experience in that we got to interact with a lot of people we never knew existed in the campus. Like even
Okay.
it's a huge campus,
Mm.
and I was actually very active in a lot of extracurricular activities. So I at least still met a lot of people here and there. But yeah, but when Shravasti came along and we used to go to these labs of a different department, like a completely mechanical engineering department, we had never even seen that department until then. So it was quite a nice experience that we got to talk to so many people. It was the interaction. It was not always very a formal interaction. People talked about their experiences at IIT and they asked us what we do. It was a, it was the first time we were interviewing someone, and then we interviewed faculties and all. We had no idea how to do that, and we learned that in the process. That learning process was really, really, really good. It was quite enriching. And then we learned that, we both of us learned that, okay, this is something we can improve on, and this is
Mm.
something we can do. Actually, that was more about it, that okay, we can do it. If we just need to improve on certain parts, but we will be able to conduct these kind of interviews in the future as well. And so yeah, that was the journey. Like, we didn't spend too much time because we stayed in IIT for only 2 years,
Mm.
and 1 year was about this. And it was not like we had to be constantly involved in that work. It was whenever we got time we
Mm.
did.
That's actually great. That's actually great. Because we get a perspective of other works also. Apart from the work that we are doing, when we get to know what others are doing, we get to know about them also, and it really broadens the idea,
Yeah.
broadens the perspective. So that's actually very, very great. So coming back to your life,
Mhm.
you have been a dancer, you have been a singer, you have been a writer. So what's your take? What kind of music you like to listen?
Okay, I like usually Sufi
Okay.
soft music. I'm not into a lot hard rock or something. I
Hmm.
can maybe I can listen to that when I'm in a pub or something.
Hmm.
I don't drink, so the music gets too loud for me after a certain point of time. For others, it's like okay, they are into it, but I'm thinking,
Happens.
hey, you're just increasing the music. So that's the so for a moment, yeah, I can enjoy, but it's not like. But I'm into more soft music and like it's classical music. So that's my yeah. Pop I like English pop. I like some of them. So it depends on my mood also. I cannot like hard metal. That's something I cannot listen
Because
to. So
it is really a new thing for me also. Because the first time I have met someone who has done all these things along with their PhDs. Because most of the time when I meet a scientist or when I talk with some faculty, their life has been more into education than actually going out and do all this stuff. So it's really a nice thing and a new thing for me also. That's actually very great. So the last thing that I wanted to ask you is that suppose a PhD fellow comes to you. So
Mhm.
what message will you like to give to that PhD fellow?
So I can just tell a PhD student that what matters the most is what you tell yourself, not what the world tells you, what the society tells you, not what even your parents tell you. At some point, you will have to decide what is best for you. And if you do not want to do a PhD, don't do it. It's not unnecessary. It's just a degree. And if you don't do a PhD, it's not like your life is over and you are not good. It's not like that. There are many people who do not do PhD and they're still very successful. Just look around yourself. So it's not like you have to do a PhD, but if you are really passionate about it, yes, stick to it. Yeah, there will be days, there will be moments when you are down, when you might not be able to perform, where you know that you are not able to perform, but it's just some days. Just pull yourself up, like do something else. Tell yourself that you need to work harder and you need to be persistent. Persistence is the key here. To survive a PhD journey, I think what you need is persistence. That's the most important part, not intelligence, because everybody is intelligent, whoever has come for a PhD, most of them. uh, and do not come into a PhD for wrong reasons. If you are into it for a wrong reason, for example, I did not get into any other job, that's why I came into a PhD, which is like really bad. That's a very wrong reason. That way you will never be happy, and you need to find what makes you happy, and from there, what comes is the persistence, that you need to be very, very, very persistent in what you do and stick to it. Don't give up, because I have months and months and months where my none of my experiments work, and then suddenly it works. So yeah, you have to like stick to it. And there are days when I don't feel like waking up and going to the lab and doing the same thing over and over again, because I know that at the back of my mind, okay, this time also it is going to fail, this time also it is going to fail, and it does fail. But still there is this one day when it works, and that's all you need. So like out of 360 days, you're probably 350 days are failures, but those, the last 15, so those 15 days that you have, and they are something to look forward to, and at the end of the journey it will be very rewarding, and you will pat your back that you survived this journey. So just be persistent, work hard, obviously keep up with the literature, and believe in yourself. That is very important. Don't believe what others are telling you. It is you who can tell yourself that you are good and you will do it, and just go forward and do it. That's it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow. That's great. Okay. That's actually very, very nice. So with this, I'm really thankful to you that you gave me time for this podcast. And with this, I would like to wrap up the podcast and wish you very best for your PhD, for your life,
Yeah.
and for the blog that you write for the PhDs of India. And I
Yeah.
hope that it is will grow in a exponential way more than it has been done till now.
Thank
And the
you.
very best for your life. And once again, thanks so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.